Honorable judges, audience, my name is Hannah Brandt and I will be cross-examining Mr. Meyer, representative of the affirmative constructive team. I will be asking you a series of questions. Please answer yes, no, maybe, or I don't know. I may ask you to explain or elaborate in 3 sentences or less, so please do as requested. To start us off, what major companies own land involved in the Keystone XL pipeline project?
I don't know major companies, but I know states.
Shell, Exxon, and BP own land involved in the project. Does the pipeline end near the Gulf of Mexico?
Yes.
Isn't it true that BP, one of the above-mentioned companies involved in the pipeline project, spilled oil in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010?
Yes.
Are you aware that according to a Cornell University report, since the first Keystone pipeline began operation in June 2010, at least 35 spills have occurred in the United States and Canada?
No.
According to the impact of tar sands pipeline spills on employment and the economy, a report by Cornell University Global Labor Institute PhD Lara Skinner and PhD Sean Sweeney, since the first Keystone pipeline began operation in June 2010, at least 35 spills have occurred in the United States and Canada. And in its first year, the spill frequency for Keystone's U.S. segment was 100 times higher than TransCanada forecast. Do you know the effects of the spilled oil in groundwater and the effect that it has on crops and water quality?
Yes.
Please explain in 3 sentences or less.
3 sentences?
Yes.
Well, as in the BP oil spill, I know that the ability to grow crops was greatly affected. Farmers were unable to grow crops, therefore further supply needs for the country, and the water was also affecting the fishermen that pretty much their life is based in fishing, and so this greatly affected our economy.
Thank you. Do you deny that President Obama has consistently denied further construction of the Keystone XL pipeline due to environmental concerns and the lack of safe ecological practices?
No.
Are you aware that the Keystone XL pipeline project proposed an expansion of the pipeline that would, according to Bloomberg Businessweek, I quote, lie inches above, end quote, the Ogallala Aquifer, a water source that sustains the Great Plains?
Yes.
What do you think should be prioritized during the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline? Job creation or safe ecological practices?
Job creation.
Do you believe that environmental safety is an important factor to consider when building the pipeline?
Yes.
Hydraulic fracturing or fracking injects water and proprietary chemicals into a well under high pressure. Long-term disposal wells for fracking wastewater can, according to the National Research Council, be, I quote, linked to increased seismic activity, end quote. Do you recognize the dangers of hydraulic fracturing?
Yes.
According to TransCanada itself, it is, I quote, not possible for a crude oil spill to threaten the viability of the Ogallala Aquifer, end quote. Multiple studies have disproved this. Do you agree with TransCanada or the scientific studies?
TransCanada.
In 3 sentences or less, please explain the course of action that TransCanada would take in the event of an oil spill.
The first step would be to shut down and isolate the area where the spill actually happened. This includes the monitoring systems, which I mentioned. The employees are always watching. And once isolated, personnel are all along the pipeline, especially in places of great danger of affecting drinking water for the public, and they can respond very fast.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Thank you, judges. I have no further questions. Due to the nature of this cross-examination, we can safely conclude that because of the affirmative constructive's failure to successfully answer many critical questions, their previous arguments are void. Thank you.